Hi, everybody. This is Helena Hart. Welcome to the Master Your Magnetism podcast, where I help you create the life and relationship you've always wanted. I'm actually streaming this episode live on YouTube today. So, hello to everyone who's joining me live. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Let me know any questions you have. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else and you'd like to see a video of this episode, I'll include a link in the description or episode details. Today, I wanted to talk about a very specific type of man that has this sneaky way of keeping a foothold in your life, even though he has no intention of really committing to a real relationship with you. And I see women getting stuck on men like this for months or even years. So I'm going to be sharing 10 signs that you're dealing with a man like this. I call him the always something man because he might really like you and you might have a great time together, but there always seems to be something that's preventing him from prioritizing you or both putting both feet in or committing to the kind of relationship you want. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 big mistakes you want to avoid if you're dealing with a man like this, because again, I see so many women getting stuck for months or years on this always something type of man. And there is really always something that prevents him from fully committing to a real relationship with her. So hi to everyone watching live. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and I'll try to get to as many as I can at the end. So the first 2 signs that you're dealing with this type of man are actually positive because there has to be something that is attracting you to him, right? The first sign is that you feel a really strong attraction or chemistry with him, maybe even stronger than anything you felt for anyone else. And the second sign is that he has a lot of qualities that you're looking for in a potential relationship partner. He might make you laugh or be really ambitious and driven, and you find that really attractive. He might actually be committed to self-growth. He might be spiritual. He has all these qualities that you're looking for. That's going to be different for every woman, but the combination of these first 2 signs can really keep you stuck on a man like this, even when he's not showing you with his actions that he wants to get into a relationship with you or wants to be a good partner. And so those are the first 2 signs. They sound positive, but when you start to get into some of these other signs, you'll start to see how things really don't ever go anywhere with a man like this. So sign number 3 is that he doesn't seem motivated to get into a relationship with you, or if you're already together, he doesn't seem motivated to really prioritize you and work on things. He might say that he's looking for a relationship. If you met him online, that might have been in his profile, or when you first meet him, he might say that he would love to meet the right person and settle down one day. And we can tend to get hooked on those words and ignore his actions. So what are his actions telling you? Is he showing you with his consistent actions over time that he's motivated to get into a relationship with you? So sign number 4 is something I haven't talked about too much before, and that is he manages down your expectations. And I've certainly been there. If you've been in a situation where a man manages down your expectations, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He might actually say that he's really busy right now. He doesn't have a lot of time to date. But often this happens with his behavior, like he'll start breadcrumbing you. And once you've gotten hooked on him, you just start waiting for some crumbs from him. You might even start begging for crumbs. And then when he throws some crumbs your way, you're just so excited because you just haven't heard from him in a while and you just feel so attached to him that you'll kind of take him however you can get him. You'll take whatever crumbs he's willing to throw your way whenever he decides to do that. And so he manages down your expectations of him, especially if he gets even a hint that you have an expectation of things going to the next level or getting serious. That one is so important. If you have any questions about that one, let me know in the comment section, because I haven't talked too much about that before, but I see it so often in the women in my community. Of course, like I mentioned, I've been there myself too. So sign number 5 is everything is always on his terms. So you might find yourself driving to see him last minute, maybe canceling your plans and just trying to fit into his schedule whenever he's available, because Sign number 4, right? He's managed down your expectations and you're so hooked on this guy that you'll just kind of take him however you can get him. So if you find that everything's sort of on his terms and he's not really willing to come to you or work with your schedule, that's a sign that you might be dealing with this always something kind of man. Sign number 6 is that his excuses seem reasonable. They sound like they make sense to you. The "I'm really busy" excuse is a really common one. I hear that a lot from the women in my community. Of course, I heard that myself when I was single and dating. So he might say he's really busy right now, works really crazy, and then he has family staying with him the next weekend. And again, there always seems to be something that's preventing him from making future plans with you and moving things forward. So start to catch that. His excuses sound reasonable. He might actually believe these excuses himself, and you might start telling, these excuses to other people. When your friends ask you, "Oh, when's the last time you saw him?" You'll find yourself saying things like, "Oh, he's really busy right now. He's, up against a deadline at work, and then he has his kids," and you are almost like his secretary because you're trying to, buy into these excuses because deep down you feel that something's a little off. The relationship never progresses with a man who's constantly making excuses. So just keep that one in mind. It's really important. Number 7 is that his answer is always maybe. If maybe you suggest getting together or you're trying to lock down some sort of future plan with him, his answer is always maybe. "I'll let you know. Things are really crazy right now. Work has just been so busy. Let me get back to you." And he really doesn't nail down future plans. It's really hard to get this kind of guy to commit to a day and time in the future because he's not really all that serious about you. He probably wants to see what else comes up first. So that's number 7. His answer is always maybe. Number 8 is so important to pay attention to, and that is when you do see this man, things might be incredible and the chemistry is just off the charts with him. And maybe something happens, you get physical together, and then you think, okay, now things are really getting serious. Maybe he was busy before, but I've sort of shown him how cool and understanding I am, and he's going to really pick up the ball and run with it from there. And it's super disappointing because that never really happens. He might pick up the momentum for a little while, but typically with a man like this, things will just slip right back into whatever was happening before. That default mode where he's sort of managing your expectations and keeping them low. It's so important. So when you see him, you think that things are going to really pick up and he's going to start pursuing you consistently, but it just never happens with a man like this. Number 9 is that he always leaves you with a sense of longing for him. You feel like you're pining for him on some level, and he always leaves you feeling wanting more from him in a way that doesn't feel good. You get the sense that he's not really missing you the same way that you're missing him if there are these long stretches where you don't hear from him or you don't spend any time together. So if you feel this sense of longing for a man or always wanting more than he's giving you, it's a big sign that you're dealing with this type of man. And it's just never going to work for you if that's the dynamic where you kind of have him on a pedestal and you're pining after him or longing for him. And sign number 10 is you've shown this man every single thing you have to offer, but it just never feels like enough. It's never enough for him to fully commit or prioritize you or put both feet in and really be in the kind of relationship you want. Versus with the right person, who you are is enough. You don't have to do really any of these things. You don't have to try and twist yourself into a pretzel or fit yourself into his schedule or drive to him constantly. But with this always something man, you tend to say things like, let's say he is really independent and he likes a lot of alone time. Even if that's not how you are, you might find yourself saying, "Oh, I'm just like that. I really like my alone time too. I'm really independent." Or if he likes to just travel the world, he doesn't really want to be tied down to one place. Maybe that's not something you've ever thought of, but you might find yourself saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just like that. I really see myself doing that." You're just constantly trying to fit yourself into this box of what you think is going to be more appealing to him. And it just never works for you. So thank you so much. I can't wait to get to these comments and questions in the chat. Before I do that, I wanted to share the three big mistakes I see women making who are dealing with a man like this. Some of these you might have heard from me before, and some are brand new. So I'm hoping that these are really helpful and give you some new insight into this. The first mistake I see with women who are dealing with a man like this is they get stuck on him because of those first two reasons I shared. They're really attracted to him. They feel a lot of chemistry with him, and he has a lot of qualities that they're looking for in a potential relationship partner, right? And so they kind of get starry-eyed over these qualities. Like, here's a man that I'm finally attracted to. You might not be interested in that many men. And then one guy comes along that you finally feel chemistry with, and you get all starry-eyed over him. You put him on a pedestal because of these qualities rather than looking at what he's doing, rather than basically the qualities I want you to be looking for are his energy is coming towards you consistently. You feel good about yourself when you're with him. And even when you're not with him, you still feel really secure in this relationship. You know where things are headed. You know he's interested in you. And in general, he seems to be a good guy. He's a gentleman. He treats you with respect. So if those three things aren't in place, I don't care if he's handsome and successful and funny and he's spiritual and he's self-growth oriented. None of those things matter if his energy isn't coming towards you consistently and if you don't feel really good in this relationship or potential relationship. So that's the first big mistake I see women make. They get stuck on a man because of this chemistry they feel with him or because they're really attracted to him, and that's kind of rare to them. They see that as rare and special, and they get stuck on him because of these qualities he has rather than looking at what he's doing and seeing how that is making you feel on a deep level. And that brings me to the second mistake a lot of women make with this type of man. And basically, they believe what he says rather than watching his actions. I always say you want to ignore a man's words and watch his actions. So what are his actions telling you? Is he showing you with his consistent actions over time that he's motivated to get into a relationship with you? Or if you've already been dating for a while, is he showing you that he's motivated to really be that great partner for you and move things forward? If that's not happening, you don't want to get stuck on his words. Like if he says he's looking for a relationship or he'd love to settle down and get married one day, watch his actions. The only exception I have to this is if a man flat out tells you he's not looking for a relationship or he's not ready for something serious. You want to believe what he says. But other than that, you want to really watch his actions, especially his actions as they pertain to you specifically. It's really important. This third mistake is probably one of the most important ones. I haven't talked about this before. And that is something I hear a lot of women saying with a man like this. They say, I'm mirroring his behavior. He's been inconsistent. He's been distant. So I'm mirroring his behavior. Now, on the surface, that's great. Obviously, you don't want to be throwing all your energy towards a man or chasing a man who's not pursuing you. Or on the other hand, if a man is showing interest, if he is showing up, you want to reciprocate and show interest as well. So mirroring his behavior is great. But the problem I see with women who are mirroring a man's behavior in this type of situation is it keeps them stuck on him. They're mirroring his behavior as a tactic to try to make him more interested or make him step up and try and start contacting her more or make him see how amazing she is. And just if she could just show him how cool and understanding she is, she thinks that eventually he's going to step up and, really start pursuing her consistently. And it just never happens. So that's a really important one. If you're mirroring his behavior, that's great, but you also want to be moving forward with your life. You don't want to be mirroring his behavior and just staying stuck on him energetically for months or years. And you might be dating other men and going through the motions, but if no one really compares to this guy, you don't want to stay stuck on him with your energy or just have him as the only man in your mind or in your heart or in your life if he's not showing you consistently that he is interested in the kind of relationship you want. I can tell you from experience, the man who displays these 10 signs is not the man who, gets the ring and proposes to you and helps you plan the wedding and is going to be that partner for you for all the ups and downs of life and sickness and hard times. The guy who can't even text you consistently or who only shows up on your phone a couple times a month is not the man who is going to be that amazing partner for you for the long haul. He's just not. Something I've been saying a lot lately is how things start off in a relationship is typically how they progress if it's starting off hot and cold or inconsistent like this. So this type of man doesn't just all of a sudden wake up and go, oh, you know what? I've been breadcrumbing this woman for 6 months. I think I'm really going to put both feet in. It just doesn't happen. That's why you want to really watch for these signs and not get stuck on this type of man. So that's what I have today for you. I can recap these at the end. I do see a lot of questions and comments in the chat. So let me scroll up and get to some of these. I haven't done a live stream in about 5 months. It's been a really long time. So I'm going to feel a little rusty today, but this is great. Okay, Alexa says, hi, Helena, I'm going through this right now. He says I should focus on me and not be worried if he calls me or not. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like you might be with a always something type of man. So you want to believe him and focus on you, and don't get into this third mistake where you're mirroring his behavior, but you're secretly hoping one day this situation's going to transform, because these situations often don't transform. I'd love to hear anyone else who's had an experience like this. So Cora Lee says, what should I do when my guy never takes anything seriously? I just had dental surgery. He didn't seem to realize the extent of it. I'm moving in July. He doesn't know how much is involved. Is this a man you're in an exclusive, committed relationship with? You can let him know that this feels really important to me. It would feel really good to have some support or help in this area, and see what he does. He might just be clueless and not know that that was a big deal. Maybe moving or having some kind of procedure wouldn't be as big of a deal to him. But if he's consistently not wanting to be there for you, that goes back to sign number 3. If he's not motivated to be that man in your life and meet your needs and really be there for you, that might be something to take a look at. Okay, Neptune Fairy says, my ex is always something man. He's an always something man, she says. He said he can't be what I need and he wants to remain friends. I told him I can't just be friends and I blocked him. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm talking about. It can be tempting to want to be friends with someone like this, hoping that you'll somehow get upgraded to girlfriend or wife one day, but it typically never happens. Honestly, men know what they want. It doesn't take a man years and years and years to figure out what he wants. If you've been with a man for a while and he says something like this, or he says he doesn't know what he wants, or he can't give you what you want to believe him, because he does know what he wants. It just might not be you. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, but the faster you can realize that, the better. Alexa says, indeed, everything is on his terms. Exactly. Always an excuse. He works crazy hours. He says he's so busy. Yes, so true. So it sounds like this is really resonating. Andrea says, never enough. Yes, new man needed. Absolutely. Wow, you are describing what I'm going through right now. Yeah, it's amazing how common this situation is. When you're with a man like this, you tend to think that your situation's so unique. Like, oh, maybe he really is just busy. Maybe he has a lot going on right now. But honestly, these situations don't really ever tend to transform if he wasn't going after you and pursuing you from the beginning. Valerie says, you're so right. I let one go because of this. Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. Watch his actions, not his words, Maricel says. I totally agree. Okay. Bianca says, what if this is my boyfriend of 2 years? He was so good to me when we started dating and when we were together, but when we're apart, we barely communicate. Yeah, similar to Coralie's question, have you told him that that's something that's really important to you? Like, it feels so good to hear from you on the nights that we don't see each other. It just feels so good to hear your voice. It feels so good to see your name pop up on my phone on the nights we don't see each other. Those are things I told my husband when we first started dating, because we lived about an hour apart, and he immediately picked up the ball, started calling, and that was something he wanted too. He just, didn't want to be pushy or too aggressive at the beginning. So let him know how that would make you feel and watch what he does. Does he take that feeling and need into account or not? And if he doesn't, again, something to pay attention to. He might not be the man that's going to want to be that partner to you. So let's see. Maricel says, actions say a lot. Don't fall for it. when he says you're beautiful, you know you're beautiful. Love your advice. Thank you so much. Okay. Another question. So what if he's been consistent for 9.5 months? Then he says he has to work for 3 days. He's tired to drive far. If he's been consistent for 9.5 months, he's obviously built up some credit. And if he has to work for 3 days straight, I don't know your exact situation, but if he has to work, can you just find something else to do for those 3 days? At least he's telling you that and he's not dropping off. But just convey what's important to you. Like Bianca's question, you might say that you understand it would feel really good to at least talk to him and hear his voice on the nights that you can't see each other and see what he does. But, after those 3 days, does he go back to being consistent? I'd be curious to hear what happens. So keep me posted. Crystal Marie says, my boyfriend calls and texts every day. He's been too busy to put in the minimum agreed upon face-to-face time for well over a month. What should I do? I'd be curious how long you've been dating him. Like if you've only been dating him 2 months and half of that time, like for the last month, things have been inconsistent, that's not a good sign. But if it's like the last person, if you've been dating for 9, 10, 11 plus months, this might be just a phase he's going through. But with all of these questions, it's really important just to convey what would feel good to you, convey what's important and see what he does. So you could say, I'm just rereading your question again. You could say it would feel really good to see each other more often. What do you think about that? And see if you can negotiate that way. And again, his response to you expressing your needs is going to give you so much information about what kind of partner he would be, how much he cares about your feelings and desires. It's going to tell you pretty much everything you need to know. So here's another question or comment. 10 years back and forth, hot and cold, always answers, does a lot for me, but we are not married, talks about it, but no ring still. We went to Canada this past weekend and had an amazing time. Yeah, 10 years is a very, very long time to basically waste on someone who doesn't know what he wants. So if you're happy with this situation exactly as it is right now, then that's great. But if you're here and if you're commenting like this, you probably want more. 10 years back and forth, hot and cold. Like I said, these situations don't typically magically transform. It doesn't take a man a long time to know what he wants, but he might be happy to hang out with you. He might be happy to be in your feminine energy, your amazing presence. Basically, these men are happy to take whatever you have to offer, but that doesn't mean that things are moving any closer towards the committed relationship you want. That's so important. Let me just repeat that. Men are happy to spend time with you and just be around you and take everything you have to give to them, but that doesn't mean that things are moving closer if he's not consistent and being reliable and dependable right from the beginning. So really, really important. Purple Rain says, I lost 5 years with a hot and cold man, never doing that again. Yeah, it's not uncommon. People can really get stuck on this kind of man for years. We broke up 1 year ago. We've still been dealing with each other. Yeah, it's another sign. If you've broken up but you're still kind of hanging out, it's unless he says, I'm ready to really give this a shot and put both feet in, I would just expect more of the same from him. So again, don't get in this situation or stay stuck thinking that this is going to transform into something else, because I'd hate for you to show up in another 5 or 10 years and say, nothing's changed, right? And I've seen this over and over and over. These situations typically don't change unless you're truly willing to walk away and that, he snaps to and starts to see you in a whole new way. But if you've broken up already before and this is back and forth and you've been doing this for a decade, my guess is that this is just going to be more of the same. A man's past behavior is a really good indication of his future behavior, especially in a situation like this. I've been dating a man for 5 months. I still haven't met his family and friends. I've been seeing comments like this so often lately in my, the comment sections of some of my videos here on YouTube. So again, with a lot of these, let him know that it would feel really good to meet some important people in his life. And, if you introduce him to some of your friends, see how that goes and say it would feel really good. Does he, want to just keep you a secret? That would be, that just wouldn't feel good. Something about that wouldn't feel good, but he might not know that that's something that's important to you. So don't be afraid to express some of these desires And you're not going to push the right guy away by expressing some of these things. You might push this kind of man away, and you actually want that to happen, right? So don't be afraid of these men walking out the door if they're 1 foot in and 1 foot out, or if they're halfway out the door already. You actually want this type of man who's just stringing you along to drop off and fade away. You want that to happen. It's a good thing because now you're not going to waste your time anymore. For everybody, that's what I would recommend. Okay, Nicole asks, my boyfriend and I have been in a long distance relationship exclusively for 7 months. I've asked him now 2 times at 4 months and 7 months. He said he wants me forever, doesn't know what his future looks like. Doesn't know what his, okay, are there any concrete plans for the two of you to not be long distance anymore? Or are you just kind of in limbo with this guy? Is he planning? Yeah, he says he doesn't know what his future looks like. I don't know if I would be exclusive with a man long distance if there wasn't a concrete plan for the two of you to be together and live in the same city or area in the future. So, because what is the plan here? That what you don't want to do is just be waiting around and then have 2+ years more go by and there's still no future plans. So you might want to have a serious conversation with him about that. They will bask in your feminine energy like a cat in the sun. Lady Muse says, that is so true. I get questions all the time from women who say, well, why would a man who doesn't want to commit to a relationship still hang around? And exactly like you said, they'll take all the benefits of being around you. And that doesn't necessarily mean sex. It could if you're sleeping with him, but it could just mean companionship, being around your feminine energy. Men crave the company of a woman. They crave your feminine magnetism, and they'll take it, right? Men just do what they want to do all the time. So they kind of assume that you're okay with this situation as well, especially if they've managed down your expectations. It's really important. So let me just take a couple more questions. What if we're just getting to know each other? He lives in a different city, New York, and I'm in Florida. When we're together, he is really hot and then cold. He's not sure if he wants long distance. Yeah, believe him. You want to believe him. If he's not sure, you could say, great, I'm happy to keep dating you, but certainly don't put all your eggs in this basket. Don't just focus on a guy who's hot and cold and who says he's not sure he can do this. Definitely keep your options open, and maybe something will change with him. Most likely it won't, to be honest. So don't focus on somebody who's not showing you with his words and his actions that he knows what he wants, and that is you, right? Okay, I think actually that was the last question. Someone says, don't forget, ladies, we are the prize. I love it. And Nicole says, that's what I want to know. I'm looking for a plan. He says he will move in with me. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, again, don't be afraid of scaring these guys off. You can't scare the right man away. And if you're able to scare this man away simply by stating a feeling or need or request or something like that, maybe a boundary, you want the men who are just stringing you along and they're one of these always something type of men to drop off and fade away. You actually want that to happen. I know there's this tendency to want to grab hold and hang on tight to a man because of those first two reasons, right? We feel attracted to him and he has some of the qualities we want, but you actually want the men who are like this to fade out of your life and fall away. So let's see. Question. I'm worried that my boyfriend's cheating on me. How to ask because I'm not sure. Again, don't be afraid to just express yourself. I'd be curious as to, why you feel this way. Have you seen some sort of evidence? Is it just a fear or insecurity you have? Is this something you dealt with in the past? Don't be afraid to let him know that you've been feeling a certain way. What you don't want to do is just tolerate something and walk on eggshells with a man. Just don't be afraid to be really direct and straightforward, and know that if he's the right man for you and you're expressing your feelings and needs in a feminine, authentic way, he's going to want to alleviate that and solve the problem for you. And he should be really straightforward too. Okay, last one I see from Brianna. She said, if he's been distant lately, is it best to lean back and fully focus on myself, but still let him know that it would feel good to go on a date soon, or just wait and see if he comes back? This is probably one of the number one questions I get. Like, do I say something or do I just lean back? So again, don't forget that third mistake. You don't want to mirror his behavior as a tactic to try to get him to do something. You're mirroring his behavior because you're not going to chase a guy who's not pursuing you, and you're moving forward with your life and keeping your options open if you're not exclusive, of course, right? So it depends on the situation here. Is this a guy you've been dating for a while? Then you could, of course, you could say, hey, something feels a little off between us lately. Something just does, if I've been feeling a little distance between us, is there something I should know? You could totally say that if you've been dating him for a while, or if you're in a new relationship. Or you could go the other way and just lean back and see what he does. If he's a new guy that you don't know that well, the outcome will likely be the same either way. If he's an always something man, things are likely not going to work out no matter what you do. So don't be afraid to go ahead and express that. But if it's a brand new guy and you just kind of want to see what he does all on his own, you could just lean back and focus on yourself. Just keep moving forward with your amazing life. Oh, she says, we've been together 5 months. So yeah, if you've been together 5 months, feel free to say, yeah, I've been sensing a little distance lately. Something feels a little off. Is there something I should know? And see what he says. So I think the theme of this video is don't be afraid to express some of these things. Don't be afraid to send these guys out the door. If they're already halfway out the door, they were never going to fully commit to you anyway. So, okay, I see one more question. And then we'll close out. Is it possible to use feminine energy to convert a hot and cold guy into matching your enthusiasm and chasing you? Is it best to just ignore him? Such a good question. You know, your feminine energy is so powerful that it could actually keep the wrong men hanging around you for years or decades. So if he's hot and cold, the most feminine energy thing you can do is just observe him and go, something about this doesn't feel right. I'm going to keep moving forward with my life. Right? I would not personally try to use feminine energy as a tactic or a strategy to make a man do something. That's not really feminine energy. That's actually, if you're leaning back because you're trying to make a guy do something and you have an agenda, you're in your masculine energy. And sure, you might get a guy like that to step up for a little while, but if he's not truly interested and for you and knowing that he wants to pursue you from the beginning, I wouldn't mess around with that and try to make him step up more. I hope that makes sense. It's really, really important. So again, if you're leaning back as a tactic to try to make a man more interested or make him chase you, you're actually in your masculine energy. So it's the energy behind it. It's the energy where you're coming from that's important, not the leaning forward or leaning back. It's kind of a superficial understanding, like feminine energy just means leaning back. No, feminine energy is a state of mind. It's a state of not being attached to the outcome of any interaction with a man. So again, the most feminine energy thing that I would do in this situation is just notice he's really hot and cold. Therefore, he must not be that into me, or therefore he must not be my guy. I'm going to keep moving forward. Maybe he'll come back around. Maybe he won't, but I'm not going to try to make him chase me or make him more interested. I hope that was helpful. Okay. I see one more question. What if on our third date, what if we went on our third date and he kissed on our third date, but then he goes cold and distant? What do I do? Okay. Again, it's only 3 dates. You could ask him, you could say, I'm sensing a little distance, but something I say a lot is you don't really know what a guy's going to do until after about 3 or so months in. So if a guy drops off after a couple dates, usually he's gone because he's supposed to be gone. And you want to see that as a good thing. You know, he's showing you that he's not that interested in continuing to pursue you and move things forward. So if a man drops off within the first couple of weeks like that, I wouldn't try to apply any tactic to try to make something happen. Of course, you can always ask. Totally fine to ask for clarity. You could say, hey, I had a really good time with you, you know, just checking in, making sure everything's okay. You can do that one time, but that's it. I wouldn't keep, you know, texting him and try to like keep this thing going if he's fading away. Again, you want the men who are stringing you along to drop off and fade away. So that is all the time I have today. I just had about 30 minutes. Let me see if there's anything I have for you. I have a free gift on my website. That is helenahartcoaching.com. That's my 3 keys to attract the man you want report and audio training. Totally free. That's the first link in the description of this video. I'm also on Instagram now after a long time of not being on there. There are still a lot of fake accounts on Instagram using my name and photos. So you want to make sure that you're following this one right here, Helena Hart Coaching. If you want to actually type it in, or I included a link in the description, it's instagram.com/Helena Hart Coaching. Any other account using my name and photos on Instagram is a fake account, but there is one real account. That's me, Helena Hart Coaching on Instagram. That is the last link in the description of this video. So I'll include it in the comment section too. But if you just scroll down to the bottom link, I'd love to have everyone follow me on there. I post quotes and sometimes photos and just daily inspiration. So this was great. Make sure you're following my podcast too. That's where I'm spending most of my time these days. Master Your Magnetism podcast. That's on Spotify and Apple and anywhere else where you can listen to podcasts. I'm focusing more over there. I do go live over there every other Tuesday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern time, which is 3:00 p.m. Pacific time. You can actually call in, talk to me personally, type your questions into the chat just like this, and it's totally free. I'll include links to how to join my live podcast recordings too. So have a great rest of the day, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this impromptu live stream. This was so much fun, and I will talk to everyone again soon.